Today we're going to talk about the further erosion of parental rights. We said many times that you and I, Alex, that one of the consequences of federal ed, federalizing education, Common Core and related ideological perspectives is taking away rights from parents. You have a doozy of a story that every mom and dad in America needs to hear. Tell us what happened in Minnesota.
So basically you had a government school going behind the parents' back to give a child a sex change operation.
So basically the mom did not want her 17-year-old son to be allowed to transition to a woman. That includes hormonally and in terms of surgery. Unbeknownst to the mom, the school decided that she was an unfit mother and allowed the procedures to take place. The boy was indeed transitioned to a woman, to a girl. And when the mom found out about this, I guess they weren't living together, the mom and the mom and the son at the time?
Right, and I guess the child, the boy, had gone to ask an attorney from some left-wing organization to write a letter saying, you know, we kind of think you're emancipated. And, you know, it's interesting because in the first lawsuit, the court acknowledged that the mother's parental rights were intact, right? The child was not emancipated, so the child was not free to make these sorts of decisions, and yet the school behind the parents' back decided to make this decision anyway, as if the child were an adult or were emancipated.
So the mother reacted to this by going to a district court to try to sue, and she was told by the district court that yes indeed, your constitutional parental rights were violated. But we're going to side with the little boy anyway. We're going to side with your son because no real damage was done because your rights were violated. How do you come up with that kind of a decision?
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, what the government has said is, well, it was a worker error and, you know, we're sorry, but hey, we don't bear any responsibility for this. You know, it was a worker error. And that was their defense, a worker error in this case. So, you know, the consequences, of course, are now irreversible, right? You can't go back and undo this procedure. You can't go back and restore the parents' rights. But apparently when the government does these sorts of things, they can often get away with it. And so now it's being reviewed by an appeals court, by a panel of appeals court judges. And we'll have to see what comes down. But the Thomas More Center, the Thomas More Society, a Christian public interest law firm, has now taken up the case, and they're helping the mom in this case. So.
Yeah, well, thank God she is appealing this. We'll see what the three Eighth Circuit judges have to say about it. Who was it that paid for all of this behind the mother's back?
Yeah, I'm assuming it was taxpayers because you have the government school involved, you have the county health system, and some other government officials and authorities. So I assume taxpayers were on the hook for this.
So if you're a 25-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 60-year-old with cancer can't pay your bills, you can't consult a left-wing activist and simply have the government pay for it. But in the interest of taking underage children and sexually transitioning them against the spoken wishes of the mother, was all sorts of public money for that, evidently, we're led to believe. Yeah,
that's what it seems like. And you know, it's one of those crazy stories that sounds too crazy to be true, but then it is true, and this is what's happening. You hear about, you know, stories where the schools help take the underage girls to go have abortions without consulting their parents or behind their parents' back, and this is just the next logical step, right? They'll take them to have their genitals mutilated under the guise of transitioning to the other sex. It's, you know, it's tragedy.
The real takeaway from all of this is that schools really aren't that interested in what mom and dad think. On so many levels, whether it's teaching kids transgenderism in elementary school, or, as we saw last week, threatening to punish a teacher for not going into a boy's locker room to watch a girl who thinks he's a boy shower, the American public school system has moved into unknown territory here, where they feel absolutely entitled to remodel, literally remodel your children, from the pipes and the plumbing all the way up to what goes on between the ears. If we don't stop this now, there's going to be a lot more psychological and social evisceration of your kids, not just destroying their physical bodies.